Evelyn did not buy the scarred orc woman because she wanted a servant. She bought her because the local magistrate had given her 3 days to abandon her dead husband's estate, and she needed someone who could hold a blade. The slave market in Dalton was a loud, filthy pit. But among the lines of prisoners, the woman with the silver scar running from her left temple to her jaw stood like stone. 5 coppers, the auctioneer had yelled, kicking the wooden platform. Disobedient. Marked, damaged goods from the northern border. Do I hear 5? Evelyn had stepped forward, her black mourning veil lifting slightly in the cold wind. She placed 5 copper coins on the wooden block. Sold, the auctioneer laughed, throwing the iron leash chain into the dirt. The orc woman did not look at Evelyn. She did not plea. She did not beg. She stood, 6 feet tall, broad-shouldered, with vibrant green skin and long, flowing black hair that fell like a dark curtain over her shoulders. Despite the heavy iron collar and the deep scars on her arms, she possessed a majestic, arresting beauty. Her sharp jawline, high cheekbones, and small, elegant tusks gave her the air of a fallen queen rather than a slave. Evelyn knelt, picked up the key, and unlocked the collar. "My name is Evelyn," the widow said, her voice steady. "I have a ranch on the North Ridge. I do not keep slaves, but I need a guard. If you walk with me, you eat what I eat, and sleep under a roof. If you run, I will not follow." The orc woman rubbed her green neck where the iron had chafed. She looked at Evelyn with piercing amber eyes, vertical-pupiled and intelligent. "Vara," she said. It was her first word. The estate on the North Ridge was a quiet, sprawling territory of pine forest and horse paddocks. It had been built for permanence, but since Evelyn's husband had died of the winter lung, the fences had begun to lean, and the stable doors groaned in the wind. Vara settled into the household like a shadow. She did not use many words, but her competence was absolute. Within 3 days, the fallen fences were rebuilt, the heavy oak posts driven into the hard clay with a force that should have required a team of horses. She spent her mornings tending the herd, her tall, athletic frame moving among the skittish stallions with a calm, commanding presence that made them bow their heads. Evelyn did not treat her as a servant. Every evening, when the work was done, Evelyn set 2 plates at the table. She prepared clean bandages and a cooling salve made from wild lavender and honey, gently applying it to the raw skin on Vara's wrists where the shackles had been. Vara sat perfectly still under the widow's touch. Her amber eyes tracked Evelyn's gentle hands, her breath slow and controlled. "Why do you care for these wounds?" Vara asked one night, her guttural voice low in the quiet kitchen. "To your people, I am a beast. Do not rebuild fences with classical spacing," Evelyn said, wrapping clean linen around Vara's green wrist. "And they do not look at my husband's books with recognition. You were taught by scholars, Vara. I know what an educated hand looks like." Vara's jaw tightened. She looked at her plate, but she did not deny it. The threat arrived. On a Tuesday afternoon, Magistrate Corvus rode into the yard with 4 hired mercenaries. Corvus was a man who used the law the way an assassin uses a dagger, quietly, greedily targeting widows and isolated estates. He dismounted, his leather boots crunching on the gravel. "Mrs. Thorne," he called out, his pleasant voice carrying a threat. "Your 3 days are up. The Crown has reassessed the boundary. This land belongs to the county." Evelyn stepped onto the porch. "My husband's charter, signed by the king, magistrate. The boundary is fixed." "The king is far away," Corvus sneered, stepping closer. "And you are a widow alone. Sign the transfer, or my men will remove your things. And you." He reached into his coat, producing the parchment and a quill. One of his mercenaries, a scarred human with a jagged longsword, noticed Vara standing in the shadow of the stable door. He laughed. "Look at this, Captain." The widow bought herself a green dog. Vara stepped out into the light. She was dressed in a simple, dark green wool tunic Evelyn had sewn for her, but the way she carried herself was different now. The weariness of the slave market was gone. Her green skin was vibrant, her long black hair braided with silver thread, her amber eyes burning like hot copper. She did not draw a weapon. She stood between Evelyn and the 5 men. "Leave," Vara said. Corvus laughed. But his mercenaries did not join him. The captain, an old soldier who had fought in the northern wars, was staring at Vara's shoulder. Beneath the collar of her tunic, a mark was visible on her collarbone. Notabrand, a tattoo. An intricate iron sigil of a 3-toed dragon, clutching a broken crown, the sigil of War Chief Orgrim, the most feared warlord of the northern territories. "Captain," Corvus said, his smile faltering as he noticed his men stepping back. "What is the matter with you?" "Remove the beast, magistrate," the captain whispered, his hand shaking on his hilt. "That is not a beast. That is Orgrim's daughter, the one who disappeared from the northern border caravan 6 weeks ago." The yard went dead silent. The wind off the ridge seemed to freeze. "Nonsense," Corvus stammered, his face turning the color of dry paper. "She was bought in Dalton for 5 coppers. She's a common slave." Vara did not answer with words. She moved. The first mercenary went down before his sword could clear the scabbard. Vara took his wrist, twisted it until the bone popped, and drove the hilt of his own dagger into his temple. He collapsed into the gravel. The second swung his longsword. Vara bypassed the blade with a fluid, lethal slide, her athletic frame ducking beneath the arc. She caught his throat with her green hand, lifted him off his feet, and threw him into the wooden porch stairs with a force that shattered the timber. The captain and the remaining guard backed away, their weapons lowered. Their eyes locked on the orc woman, who had unmade 2 of their best fighters in 5 seconds, without drawing a blade. And then the horn sounded. It was a deep, low vibration that shook the leaves. From the pine trees, the war horn of the Black Tusk clan. From the tree line, 50 armored riders emerged, massive orc warriors on mountain-bred chargers, their lances tipped with steel, their banners flying the 3-toed dragon. At the lead was Orgrim himself, 7 feet of corded muscle, iron-gray hair, and an armor-plated chest that carried the Skarsov 30 victories. He rode into the yard, his massive stallion stopping. 3 paces from the porch, Orgrim dismounted. He walked past the cowering magistrate, past the bleeding mercenaries, and stopped in front of Vara. He looked at her wrists, clean and wrapped in white linen. He smelled the scent of lavender and honey on her skin. He looked at the simple, beautiful wool tunic she wore, and then at the human widow standing on the porch, her face pale, but her chin level. Orgrim brought his closed fist to his chest, the deepest warrior salute. "I have burned 3 border towns, looking for you, my daughter," Orgrim said, his voice a low thunder. "You did not need to burn them," Vara said, her voice matching his volume. "This human freed me. She paid 5 coppers, unlocked my collar, and treated my wounds. She gave me a table, a roof, and her respect." Orgrim looked at Evelyn. The terrifying warlord bowed his head. "You bought a warlord's daughter for 5 coppers, human," Orgrim said, "and you treated her like a guest. The Black Tusk does not forget a kindness." He turned to his captains. "Take the magistrate. The county's boundary has shifted. It now ends at the northern border. This estate is under my protection." Corvus was dragged away, screaming, his legal documents left in the dirt. Orgrim turned back to Vara. "The war horses are waiting. My daughter, your clan, is ready." Vara looked at the horses, then at the house, then at Evelyn, who was standing on the porch, her black veil blowing in the wind. She looked at the clean linen wraps on her wrists. "The stable door still groans in the wind," Vara said to her father, "and the widow cannot herd the stallions alone." She looked at Evelyn. A small, rare smile touched her beautiful face, her small tusks catching the late afternoon sun. "I will stay," Vara said, "as her guard, by choice." Orgrim looked at them both. He did not argue. He pressed his fist to his chest once more, mounted his stallion, and led his riders back into the forest. The sun went down over the ridge, turning the sky to copper. Evelyn walked down the steps. She did not offer her hand. She stood beside Vara, and together they looked at the quiet pasture, the straight fences, and the open road. "The stable door can wait until tomorrow," Evelyn said. "Yes," Vara purred. "Tonight we eat." They walked inside, and the door closed, and that was enough.